Okay, let's go. So tell us a little bit about the vision of the Eddy Foundation and your work here in Adirondacks.
Okay, Eddy Foundation has evolved, so the vision is kind of omnipresent, ongoing, uh, and the Eddy is symbol of the Eddy is a spiral, and that is just kind of the spiral of the universe. You know, we've sort of seen it, and it has evolved as that, and the work that we do kind of is like that, and we sort of go with where. To me, you know, speak California talk. You know, we go where the energy is, and since day one. But our original mission that we started back in 2000, no, was it 1998 actually, and it was to reconnect humans with the wild, with nature, and you know there were other things. Do it in a conscientious, environmentally correct way, and invest in small businesses that are aiming the same direction. But anyway, so that for 20 years we've done that. We added to that, more specifically working in New York with forests. I saw early on that, you know, rather than put money in Wall Street, you know, investing money in nature, in our forest land, was absolutely highest and the best, most gratifying through the years by far. Uh, I connected with John Davis early on, and he was focused up in the Adirondacks, and I was focused a little bit more down in the Caribbean and in the Catskills. But I came up here, and we started really working together on what we call the Split Rock Wildway. And what that was on the map, we identified a wildlife corridor that went from a large protected area on Lake Champlain that the state protects to, you know, through the Champlain Valley, which is the most biodiverse part of the Adirondack Park, literally. And it has the least amount of protected land in it. So what we did was make kind of a bridge through the Champlain Valley of protected areas, but we had to buy piece by piece by piece by piece by piece in a particular area that would provide a corridor. So that, and we worked with other organizations doing that, certainly with the Wildlands Network and Nature Conservancy, Adirondack Land Trust, the Northeast Wilderness Trust, other groups, but primarily all of our endowment went into primarily into land protection, which is, to me, awesome. And I can't imagine a better way to have evolved with the assets that we had.
So how does the story of the Spirit Sanctuary come into play in this project and at this moment?
So, what comes to mind, where there's life, there's death. And, uh, you know, that system is often just ignored. Our culture does not like to talk about death. Um, I tend to go where other people don't go very often, and death is one of those things. I'm 76 now, but I think this started a long time ago when my mother was getting old. It's like, what do I do with mom? And, you know, I started thinking about cemeteries then in forests. I couldn't imagine getting buried anyplace other than a forest. So that, you know, got me thinking over years. But then, 7 or 8 years ago, um, the time came, just I kept hearing more about green cemeteries and conservation cemeteries. So it's like, okay, we got to do one. We have land. Let's just make this happen. And we picked a beautiful old regenerating farm field that was not good for grazing. And it was right in a beautiful area by a little Waldorf school and a dirt road with farms and horses around, but a beautiful forest. And that's where our cemetery is going to be. We had some convincing to do to the town about what a conservation cemetery was, and why we needed another cemetery in town when we already had one. But this is like no other cemetery, well, certainly no other cemetery around here. And it's, I mean, I can dive into it. I think you're going to interview maybe later one of the prime grave diggers we have. He's a great storyteller, and he was in on this too. So I will save some of the um, more peachy things for John to talk about.
One more question for you, Jamie, is about art and how art can support regenerative process and forest protection. And you are now supporting and co-creating as well split rock arts and inviting artists here. So how do you feel artists can participate in this whole process?
Good question. So that as well has evolved, certainly with me, and how that comes together, and will continue to evolve. And Evgenia, certainly Eternal Forest has, helped add fuel to the energy of where this is going to go. But gosh, I've seen artists that will, obviously paint a lot of nature things, and they're obviously motivated by, by forest, by nature, and and what I see as well is that other people can. I know I'll bring another thing in that's kind of key in our time. It's found that doing psychedelics in nature is way more profound than doing it in a lab setting, and that says something right there. And having a little experience myself in that, the forest is a great place to expand consciousness. And what is consciousness to me other than creative energy? It is creative energy in motion, and art is about passion. Art, and passion comes so alive in the forest. I think any of us that spend much time there see how inspiring it is to be in wild nature. So that it's, I think it's just a go-to for sure, and will continue to evolve. I think what you're doing, Evgenia, is really profound, and I think will lead a lot of people in that direction as well. So I'm delighted to work with you on that, and we'll keep evolving together.
Thank you.